Hey everyone, and welcome back to Open from Chari Executive Suite. We've transferred, and our last guest is an Afro-Indigenous storyteller, culture writer, literary editor, and documentary filmmaker whose work reclaims and recenters narratives of people and communities outside the margins. She is the editor of the new book released titled Daughters of Latin America, an international anthology of writing by Latine women, which features 140 powerful voices in one volume, from well-known beloved writers to rising stars. And here now to share more is storyteller, writer, Daughters of Latin America, editor Sandra Guzman, and contributing artist and poet Yvette Modestin. Hello and welcome, ladies.
Rhina.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule because, bueno, tonight is the night.
I know.
It is.
Yes.
Tonight is the night. So, let's open up with you, Sandra, and let's just share with our viewers what inspired you to create this magnificence of a book, which, of course, I have mine handy, that is just like, it's an awe of a feeling and experience in recognizing all the different voices and the different ages and the different languages.
Well, first of all, it's so wonderful to be here with you, Rhina, and your crew and the Open crew, and with my sister, Yvette Modestin, who I've known for more than 20 years, and I get goosebumps. But I think our histories go back, in time and space much, much longer. This book was inspired by a beautiful treasure of an anthology called New Daughters of Africa, which was edited by Margaret Busby and was acquired by Tracy Sherrod, who was the executive editor of Amistad. And this was inspired by Tracy and Leticia Gomez, who's a literary agent out of Texas. And the story is really beautiful because Tracy sends New Daughters of Africa to Leticia in Texas, and Leticia's like, oh, I would love this for Latinas. And Tracy's like, okay, well, let's make it happen. And I have the perfect editor for you. And so this landed on my lap in the midst of the pandemic. And so it was, I think, a gift from the heavens. And the coincidence, or maybe not so coincidence, was that I was also reading New Daughters of Africa. My husband had gifted me the book and I was reading it. Anthologies are magical in that you can open them at any page and there's medicine for you. Right. And I read Margaret's beautiful introduction, and I was just reading all of these beautiful and powerful writers from the African diaspora. And then New Daughters of Latin America falls on my lap. So I think it was a gift from my ancestors to this. It's all in their honor anyway. Anything I do is in their honor.
And you honor, with the utmost honor. So let's talk about your relationship to Yvette Modestin, who, Yvette, you yourself are an editor. You yourself have co-edited anthologies, and aside from being one of the contributors to Stand Before Senate and just be a stand for the Crown Act. I know we're going to be presenting a piece that is an ode to our Crown. What is your relationship to Sandra, and what did this mean to you to be invited to contribute to this book?
So, gracias, Rhina. It's a pleasure to be with you. Pleasure to be in the midst of New York energy, that soulfulness that comes out of the streets. Sandra said something that we go way back, and I'm thinking more than 20 years when I was on my search to be seen as a Black Latina in spaces that did not know what to do with me as a Black Panamanian honoring. And I remember Sandra's book, The Latina Bible, came out, and she came for a presentation 20-something years ago here in Boston, and it was an immediate and what a wonderful thing to be seen. because that's what we all want to do. We want to be seen in our full light and in our humanity. And I think Sandra then, 20 plus years ago, is still Sandra that today. Because when we reconnected, COVID did a lot of changes and changed how we looked at the world, how we felt in the world. And for me, the major change was the transition of my father, who was very much present in my life, shaped me for 43 years of my life. Of my mom's passing, my father was my primary, and he was fully present. And then reconnecting with Sandra during my still grieving healing time. And I had written this poem that's in the book during my last production, Rerooted. And I felt my father show up when it came to me. And to see it in the book, to feel this book, I say it is a gift to and from the ancestors. The soulness of the book, the healing of the book, the sweetness of the book is felt as soon as you open it, like you shared, Rhina. So Sandra, thank you for always seeing me. For seeing me.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Well,
Yes.
listen, I love you, Yvette, and seeing you is seeing me, as a daughter of Africa and the Caribbean, as a daughter, a Caribbean indigenous woman. To see myself is to see my sisters.
Yep.
And I love how you celebrate your father in this anthology. This anthology has so many wonderful writings like Yvette's, where daughters are lifting their mothers, their sisters, their tias, their fathers, their abuelos. And it's sexy too. There's some sex and erotica. We're talking about 140 diverse voices from all over the Americas. And I think what Yvette alludes to is this very mainstream way of looking at Latin America. Like we all look like, Salma Hayek or like the white Latinas. And really that's just a myth, because we are the most diverse, racially, ethnically, religiously, is that even a word? Yeah, religiously. We are, Yolanda Arroyo Pizarro, who's another contributor, and she's going to be with us tonight. She's from Guaynabo, Villa Loíza, and she's an Afro-Boricua queer writer. And we were once in Luquillo, Luquillo Beach, just enjoying Yemaya. And she says, Sandra, Latin America or El Caribe is where all the waters of the world meet. And I was like, whoa, what a powerful thing to say. And so anyway, this is a book of spirit. This is a book of ancestral memory. This is a book of scholarship as well. I spent some deep hours just going through really old texts. Remember, the oldest text was written in 1601 or 1691, published in 1701, Sor Juana de la Cruz. But the memory is beyond the 1600s. I mean, we come from ancient people, and we're oral historians and oral storytellers. So our oral literature is in this book from way back.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. And you just took the line that I was going to quote, which was, because her opening is its own ritual, right? The introduction is its own ritual. And it's almost like a preparation of what you're about to experience, right? And I just need to read the last line of the Latin America feels like a place where all the waters of the planet meet. Like that is such a powerful and visual statement to really embark on this amazing, like, I don't know, 500 pages. How many pages? I haven't read the whole thing yet. I just got it, but it's a big book.
It's like 600 pages. But remember, this is a post-colonial anthology. I am breaking the myth that Latin America only speaks Spanish. We are a multitude of languages. Just in Mexico alone, you can speak a different language every day of the year without ever speaking Spanish, English, French, Dutch, or any of the settler languages. And that's what gives me the joy to present this book as well, because there's a lot of indigenous nations still that survived colonization that still speak in their ancient mother tongues, who still write in their ancient mother tongues in their own writing systems. A sister from Rosa Chavez, she's Cachiquel Quiche from Guatemala. She says to me, you know, Sandra, what you have done is also an language justice for us, language justice for us.
It's its own preservation, right? Because, and I love that you translated it as well, so that we're actually experiencing the language, whether we can read it or not, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm struggling a little bit with it. But you know what I did? And not to suggest that people go to Audible, I ordered it on Audible, and now I'm doing both. So now I'm doing the book while listening to the way the language is supposed to be pronounced.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. It was for me, it was very important to have, it was an intentional choice. It was a political choice to have the indigenous sisters who write in their mother tongues, to have them included alongside the English translation, which I want to know a couple of things. I want to tell you that this book is a community endeavor. An anthology of this breadth and this scope cannot be done solita, like, you know, by yourself and the research. It has to be done in community. So it was done with all of the sisters who said yes, all of the heirs of the ancestors who said yes, and also the translators. This is a work of translation, what is it, of literary translation art.
You know, and we can go on and on and on, and they're already wrapping me. I hate when that happens, but you know, this book is a treasure. It really is, and I'm not saying that out of bias, because it is Daughters of Latin America. And look, we're all holding it because it's just one of those collector's items that really are priceless. So I want to say thank you so much for gifting us with this, for gifting the world with this. And Yvette Modestin, we have to have you on another day, even though you're going to be presenting us with a performance after this. I'm happy to have you share what you're going to be presenting before we go. But we do thank you for making the time to be here on behalf of Daughters of Latin America.
Yeah, you know, thank you so much. And I think you're going to be showing the poem, An Ode to My Corona. And for me, our hair is where our conversation begins. It's our root. And it's our ori. From a spiritual perspective, it's where we receive. It's from a Rasta perspective, it's where we retain, where we connect. But it's where we have struggled the most in our identity. And in embracing our full identity is where it shows up the most. So the Ode to My Corona is an ode to all the women that combed my hair as a child that I love, the men that have touched my hair with love. So it's saying, honoring that, calling it what you want to call it, but always call it your crown.
Brava. Thank you so much, ladies. Ay, Dios mío, qué orgullo. Sandra Guzman, Yvette Modestin. And once again, we've been talking about the Daughters of Latin America, an international anthology of writing by Latinx women. And it's available everywhere books are sold. And of course, you can always go to SandraGuzman.com. And guess what? Tonight, the 92nd Street Y Center for Culture and Arts is presenting the official book launch and live reading hosted by the one and only Rosie Perez at 7:30 p.m. in the Kaufman Concert Hall, located at 92nd Street and Lexington Avenue in Manhattan. And for more information, visit 92ny.org. Don't go anywhere. When we return, poet and contributing artist Yvette Modestin will present a reading for us after the break you don't want to miss.